Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Greetings, beautiful people. My name is Simon Javan Okello. I am coming to you live and direct from Seattle, Washington, and I am the host of the African Father in America podcast, which is available across all podcasting platforms. And I am always excited to be here with you, especially because I know that we live these conversations that I bring to you from Monday to Friday with some African wisdom. You know, our purpose here is to bring you, African ancestral knowledge, through these African proverbs that we have been curating since January 2021. So my hope is that you can sit back, grab a cup of coffee, and learn, and also contribute your thoughts to today's conversation. You can do that by joining us on Clubhouse, and you can also do that by joining us on YouTube. I am going to share the link to the YouTube conversation on Clubhouse in just a moment. But I want to ask you, if you're joining me on Clubhouse, thank you. I see that we've been joined there by King. Thank you so much. This is a sacred space that I have been curating, as I said a moment ago, since January 2021. And I am going to pin the link to the YouTube live stream in just a moment, so that if you haven't tapped in with me on YouTube, you can do that today. But this entire conversation is being recorded for the African Father in America podcast. Again, the podcast is available across all podcasting platforms, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on Amazon Music, everywhere that you listen to your podcast, you should be able to catch the African Father in America podcast. So every day we gather here, and I come with a new African proverb that we learn something fresh that we can take away with us, And today we have an amazing proverb, and this proverb is from Chad. This proverb is from Chad, and it's teaching us something that is really around partnerships. That, the proverb itself says that where two rivers meet, the waters are never calm. Where two rivers meet, the waters are never calm. What is it that is coming to your mind as you listen to this proverb right now? I want you to take a moment and think about it. Take a moment and ping, 3 to 5 people that you believe should be with us for today's conversation, and share the room on Clubhouse. Tap in with me on YouTube. The link is at the top of the room. I am literally pinging in people on the Clubhouse room to join us for this conversation. I just, finished doing that, and I just want to now focus on you all who are listening to this conversation today. I shared earlier that our proverb for today says that where two rivers meet, the waters are never calm. I don't know whether you who are watching or listening to this conversation have been to a river, recently, and also whether you have been to a place where two rivers meet. I do have a guest here who is joining me in just a moment, so bear with me as I bring him on. Bear with me. Just give me 1 second. I'll be right back with you. My brother Amir, how are you doing today? Nice to see you.
I'm doing good. Am I good? Am I on here?
You look fantastic. Yeah.
Jambo. Hey.
Jambo sana. Nice to see you. Thank you for making the time,
Everything's sawa.
Yeah, everything is sawa sawa kabisa. Yeah, man. How was your weekend?
My weekend was good. My brother was good. It
Yeah.
was good. It was really good. I had an opportunity. We're looking at some properties with the family. So it was good. It was good. A lot of rain in Seattle, of course. You know how that is. So, but it was good. I had an opportunity to be with my family this weekend, so it's all right.
Yeah, man. Family is definitely number one for me too. And I consider you family too.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
consider you family too, and it's really an honor and a privilege that you made the time for us to engage this morning. And for the sake of our audience, my guest today is a really, really special brother. He is in Seattle, Washington, with me. He's going to introduce himself in a moment, but he is someone who is, moving mountains for the youth here in Seattle. But he's also an incredible father and a leader that has been through a lot to get him to where he is today. And we are going to talk about this proverb from your perspective, Amir. Where two rivers meet, the waters are never calm. And then we are going to talk about a story from your childhood that inspires you today as a leader. What is it that, when you reflect back, to your youth, to your childhood, is the story that keeps you going? You remember that and you're like, oh, let me keep moving. And also, we are going to talk about some of your biggest accomplishments with the residency, and also outside of work. What is it that you're most passionate about at the moment? And then we will talk about Kenya. You are recently in the motherland. How was it, and how did that trip inspire your next ideas about your relationship to the motherland? And then we will listen to our audience members. We are live on Clubhouse and also live here on YouTube. So later on, we will listen to some of our audience members who are going to share their nuggets with us briefly. And then you will close with your closing remarks and how people can support you, how people can stay connected with you, my brother Amir. Yeah, man. And Jag, thank you for joining us. Christine and Sam, thank you for joining us over there on Clubhouse. And I want to pass it to you, Amir. Just go ahead and share with us your perspectives on this proverb. Where two rivers meet, the waters are never calm. But I do want to share a few nuggets for you and our audience members to think about. When I was looking at this proverb, there are three things that I came up with. And for me, this proverb, we researched it with my team. I have a team in Kenya that I work with that researches these proverbs, and we came up with three takeaways. And this proverb for us, it's about partnerships, and it speaks to the moment you've committed to partnering with someone. You're like two rivers that are meeting. There is convergence, and that means there is energy that is colliding as well. So number one thing that you need to think about when you're partnering with someone, you're one river and that person is another river. There's going to be steam coming out of that convergence point. So number one, mutual respect. Both partners must respect each other and their time. Number two, clear communication. Partners must communicate effectively with each other to avoid misunderstandings. And then number three, shared goals. Both partners should have the same goal in mind and work together to achieve it. So those are some of the things I want you to think about. And I want to welcome you, my brother. You're blessing this space today. So I want to ask you to share with us your own perspective of this beautiful Chadian proverb.
Okay, listen. One, I want to thank y'all for having me. You know what I mean, and I've been on Clubhouse. I remember I was a part of Clubhouse way back, way back when it was just jumping off. And I remember being a part of your rooms, and now you're big and popping. You know, you're doing big things, right? You know, so I want to say, man, thank you for having me. One, it's also just really unruly in the morning, Simon. You know, it's unruly in the morning, man. And like, I know probably on the other side of the world, they're like, "What are you talking about?" You know, it's late. What you talking about? But for me, when I would be in these rooms, I would always be like, "Man, how do they come up with what you're talking about? You already like, I got a whole team and we broke it down, and this is what we came up with." For me personally, I didn't come up with any of that, right? Like for me, I'm thinking like when two rivers, you know, collide, I'm thinking about like maybe when two rivers came together, maybe that was me and my mother and my father. You know, I bring it back to like the essence, you know, and they met and they made me. And I've never been calm. You know, I've never been calm. You know, I think about things like that. You know, I take it back to something more like that. I think the essence of when two people meet, and they have the spirit and the willingness to create a life, and that life is never being calm ever since. So I'm gonna go there, you know, with it. That's where I'm gonna take it, you know, for me personally. And I've never been calm ever since my inception, you know. So that's where I'm gonna put my spin on it, you know, Simon. Two Rivers had made me, 1981, you know. As soon as I came out of the hospital, Reagan was shot. You know what I'm saying? I was born in the 80s, the crack era in America. You know what I'm saying? The war on drugs. It has never been calm. You know, Black people in America, you know, we've been fighting for our liberation, you know what I'm saying, before the 80s. You know what I'm saying? And we still are fighting for our liberation and our freedom. You know what I'm saying? So that river has always been. So that's what I'm thinking about. You know, we've never been calm. You know, since we've been here in America, you know what I'm saying? We've always been fighting for our liberation. Those rivers have always been wild, free, and try to been blessed with our independence. You know what I'm saying? So I just think about something like that for me personally. So I'm gonna drop it right there. You know.
Thank you, my brother. I had to. I just love everything you said, and I want to check in with Debbie. Can you hear me now? I just want to. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, we were always able to hear you, Simon, but we weren't able to hear your guests just now, and others in the chat had the same issue.
Okay. Amir, can you say something? I just want to make sure they can hear you.
Absolutely. Can y'all hear me?
Now we can.
Okay, perfect. Excellent. Man, I just I appreciate you know what you said, that you know from the moment that you know you are given birth to, from the moment you showed up, you've never been calm. You know, you've always been moving and dealing with all these things that you did not anticipate when you came. Man, yeah. So you brought us to the next question, you know, a story from your childhood, that as you look back, to what this proverb, you know, meant for you, as you reflect back, you know, I watched a movie where you are one of the main featured, characters in the movie, and I think you co-produced the movie. You know, you've done so much, you know, but I want you to think of one story that when you look back, you feel like this story is what made Amir.
Talk a little bit more about that, Simon. What movie are you talking about?
There's the movie that it's a documentary that you shot in Seattle. I think it's a very short documentary. You shared it around 6 months ago on your socials. 6 months to 8 months ago on your socials. I can't remember the title of it very well. But it was primarily shot in Seattle.
Okay. Okay, so the question is, to just run it back real quick. What's the question?
Yeah, the question is a story from your childhood that inspires you today as a leader. You're looking at the faces of youths daily, some of whom are your own children, who are dealing with the same. They're dealing with their own version of, the storm, or meeting other rivers, and just dealing with being alive in America today. What is it that inspires you, that you feel like this story might inspire the younger Amir?
Yeah. Well, I'm from Seattle, Washington, which is the third most gentrified city in America, right? I grew up in the 80s, when, in my grandfather's house, he had 18 children and I had 52 first cousins, right? And in the 80s, it was very common for my mother, who's a single parent, to drop me off at my grandparents' house. And I would always be around, 52 cousins, you know what I'm saying? And, I grew up around family every day, right? And then somewhere during that story, um, there was no more cousins. Gentrification pushed us all out, and it pushed us out of our neighborhoods. Like I said, Seattle, Washington is the third most gentrified, um, community in the nation. We had, at one point it was, I believe, 87% Black folks in the neighborhood, and now we're down to, I believe, it's under 5% Black folks, right? And so, there was a strong loss of community, and what inspires me is to think about how much I grew up around the Black community and Black folks in my community. And now that there's predominantly no Black folks in my community, there's only remnants of Black folks. I mean, I can go around the Central District area of my community, and you'll see red, black, and green sidewalks. You'll see, Malcolm X, paintings, Dr. Martin Luther King quotes, but you will barely see Black folks there, right? And so what really inspires me is the fact that I want so desperately to have Black folks, Black voices uplifted back into their communities. I want to see Black people have their lives honored. I want to see young Black children being able to play back into their communities. I want to see Black mothers and Black fathers, queer Black folks, being able to have access to housing. I want to see the Black family unit being able to be together, and rightfully so, should they. I want them to be able to experience grandma's houses again, grandpa's houses again. I understand how important that was for me growing up. Yeah, and that inspired me, to be able to go on the sidewalks, you know what I'm saying, to be able to play with the popsicle sticks and make, imaginary boats. That fueled my childhood, you know what I'm saying? Those rainy days in Seattle, to go down there and to be able to, just use my imagination, and it was surrounded by Blackness. You know what I'm saying? I felt empowered. The community had my back. You know what I'm saying? So now when I go into these rooms, and they're all these corporate rooms or whatever, and they're all white men and white women, and they're not my community. They don't look like me. I remember how my community gave me the empowerment, and I always think about getting us into more of these rooms. And I understand that it's the community, it's my ancestors, both living and not living, that gave me that, and that gave me the power to be in the places that I'm in today. And so forth. It's them, that I stand on the shoulders of. It's that child, in grandma's house and grandpa's house, that I am who I am today. And so just thinking about that inspires me the most, just to get grandma's house back, get grandpa's house back, that inspires me the most. And I'll say this, I was in Nairobi recently in Kenya, and I heard children playing at nighttime, and their voices, in daytime too. And I heard their voices outside, and it sounded like hummingbirds, just hearing kids outside playing. I hadn't heard that in so long, like the voices of kids just playing, laughing, just laughing. I haven't heard that, in the streets of America. For me, I'm saying for me personally, maybe you've heard that in your community. I understand it's not the same everywhere, but like I said, I'm from Seattle, Washington, which is the third most gentrified neighborhood or city, in America. And I haven't heard children playing outside in so long, Black children playing outside in so long, that when I was in Kenya, in Nairobi, I said to myself, damn, man, it just made it made my heart swell in one way, but it also made me very sad, because children should be able to play outside in our streets, and there should be a safe place for our children to be at, to run wild and free. Black children should have that. So that inspired me the most, I think. So thank you for asking me that, Simon.
Yeah, of course, bro. Thank you so much. For just taking us on a journey, through Seattle, and also to Nairobi, Kenya. And especially when you spoke about the voices of the children playing, I definitely miss that too. We definitely live in a place that is gentrified, even outside of Seattle, like the areas where I live. There are people who don't even like to hear the sound of African drums, or to hear the sounds of African children trying to talk in Kiswahili. That makes them uncomfortable. So just to be alive in Seattle as a Black person is a form of resistance. But I want you to share with us, what is it, you do powerful work with the residency here in Seattle, and for those who are learning about the residency for the first time, the residency is an amazing non-profit organization that seeks to build a powerful community of young hip-hop artists equipped with the artistic and leadership skills, business acumen, and mentorship necessary to become professional artists and cultural change makers. I've witnessed the impact of your work, and I know some of the incredible leaders that are involved with the work that you do. I just want you to, share with us, when you think about the work you've been putting in at the residency, what is it that makes you most proud? And also, I want you to think about what is it that you do outside of work as a Black father. I'm very passionate about the well-being of African fathers in America. So I want you to share with us, what is it that you're most passionate about that makes you happy, makes you feel sane and mentally stable?
Awesome. Well, hopefully y'all can hear me on Clubhouse as well. But I'll tell you a little bit about the residency. The residency was started by Grammy Award-winning artist Macklemore, and also Jonathan Cunningham, Ben Secord, and in particular, the teaching artists in the Seattle area community, right? And what the residency is we teach hip hop. We teach hip hop, we teach the vocal element of hip hop, we teach production, and we teach it to young artists between the ages of 16 to 24 years of age. And predominantly, we are a hip hop performing arts institution, right? And we give young folks the powerful, acumen of business in hip hop as well. And then we give them access to perform in stages all across the world, right? Like right now, we're taking some young folks down to New Orleans to perform. We've taken them down to Las Vegas. And we do this predominantly throughout the year. We give them college scholarship opportunities. And I'm the executive director for the program, right? I think what is really inspiring is just to watch them kind of come in. Some of them, who've just kind of are rapping, like they're just rapping. And then there's some who are really getting their chops up. We got some folks who are signing deals with like Epic Records, and then you have some folks who are on the production side who kind of come in learning a little bit about production, and then they're working in studios. They're becoming audio engineers, and that they're really charging folks for studio time, right? Throughout the year, you'll see some folks kind of come in not really knowing what they're doing, and the next thing you know, that they're performing in Climate Pledge Arena. They're doing shows for even for Microsoft, private gigs throughout the year, and we do this all day, every day, 365 days out the year. And I believe we're probably the best at what we do. I don't think that there's a lot of hip hop performing arts institutions out there. We're probably one of the best kept secrets. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we don't really brag or boast about what we do. We're just out here doing the work. And the coolest part about this is that majority of our young people are, come from, the community, whether that's, you don't have a lot of money, or, you have a little something, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't really matter. We'll meet you where you're at, you know what I'm saying? And it's just dope that we're able to do that. If you don't have music equipment, we try to help you get some. If you do got some, then that's dope too, right? We pay all of our young artists. We make sure you get paid. This is a gig economy. We understand that. We pay our teaching artists. A lot of the teaching artists are professional musicians, that come from the community as well. So that's a great opportunity to do and to be of service to the community. And we know the residency is growing. We started off in Seattle. And we have roots in LA, and so we're spreading out. We have young people that are also in Toronto, and now through the pandemic, we've opened up our classes to anybody. You can apply online, and so it's really great. For me, I have a vision for the residency to have its own residency. So eventually, I believe that you'll see us similar to like what the New School is in New York, where we'll be an accredited hip hop institution where you can come and get classes and get credit for, taking hip hop, and so that's what we're kind of doing. I would love to see us in, New York, LA, London, eventually. So check out the residency, Seattle.org. You can learn more there. The residency is just a really dope, classy hip hop. We got a lot of partners, throughout the world. But it's growing, and it's contagious, and it's just awesome. So also, One Vibe, we got to definitely build with One Vibe out there as well. In Africa, we got to do something with y'all as well. But the residency is just dope, man. It's really dope. What was the other question you had?
Yeah, first I want to say that, I have some of the One Vibe team members in Kenya listening in, and we can't wait for us to make something happen there. Hip hop in Kenya was influenced by, the US and African American hip hop culture, and it's just incredible what could happen if the residency could start being present, in Kenya through One Vibe. So I want to go to the other part of the question, which was, despite of the incredible work that you do, you have to keep yourself sane, and a lot of the time it's your passion that keeps you balanced, So I wanted you to speak to that. What is it that you're passionate about, that after you've done all the work at the residency, in the community, what is it that, keeps you grounded, that you're passionate about, that, excites you at this moment?
I believe I'm spirit-led. I believe that everything that I do comes from spirit, right? Like I believe that I'm on a divine assignment. I wake up, I'm one of those kind of people, that wake up, that believe that, spirit is leading me, that my ancestors are leading me, that I'm always questioning, God, what's next? What do you have for me? What am I supposed to be doing? I'm constantly in my spirit, and so for me, that to me is one, easy, but also not easy, right? I feel like if you are, you know, being called to fulfill a divine assignment, you are being led somewhere that is not your life, but also called to fulfill a purpose. And so, with that being said, it's a unique life. As also, you are also walking this life that is not necessarily yours, but it is definitely being called by, I believe, a higher power. And you are seeking, you are a seeker. And I spend time in the morning, in the daytime, constantly asking for direction. And some days it's not as clear, and then people show up, and I feel like those folks are also a part of the divine assignment, and the next thing you know, we are on and off and running to the next thing. So it's not an easy answer, Simon. It's not an easy answer. Just like this, this show that we're on, you asked me to be on it, but I feel like it's all a part of what I'm supposed to be, fulfilling, that part of that work. I'm also big on leadership. I believe that, being a part of that work that we are, called to do is a part of service work. I believe that, you're supposed to, if you're a leader, you're supposed to be a part of service. So I'm heavily involved in service work in the community. But yeah, I think that I'm a passionate person who's been called to serve and lead. And I don't mean lead arrogantly or from up top, but I mean service and lead, somewhere more from a humbly state of being. And I'll be called to do things of service for people who need me and will be called. So, I just keep my ears and my heart open, and my spirit open. And my work has been changing throughout the years, but it's always been around community, philanthropy, art, entertainment, and those areas. And I've signed up for a wild ride. I will say that the last little leg of work that we've been doing, I was Macklemore's community projects manager, and went on tour around the world pretty much. And I'll tell you a quick little story there. While I was on tour, it dawned on me that I seen a lot of, when I was looking around in hip hop and we were on tour, and I kept, like, we would be at like the House of Blues, and you're just traveling really fast, and you'd be in like Chicago, and you would see all of our black idols and icons being used, in these venues. And I would see like the temporary staff, and they would be all black security, and then the house staff, the house security, the ones that would be getting paid the big bucks, they'd be white. And it dawned on me, I said, there's something going on here. Here goes hip hop. Billions of dollars are being made. And I'm in, let's say, for one night, I'm in what's called Chirac, and all the day staff, the security guys that are going to go home at the end of the night and get a 1-day check, they're black. But this guy, the main security here, he's a white guy, and he's going to get paid maybe $100,000 for the year, right? And it rubbed me the wrong way. And then I would be whisked off in a van, and all the audio engineering people in our tour bus, they were going to be, the white kids, and I realized that there was a job for traveling, the breakdown audio engineering folks that no one was telling them about. No one would tell us about, like, the kids like myself who grew up in the hood or whatever. And they would be following us on tour. And this is hip hop. This is Black culture. And then when the tour would leave, their jobs would be secure for the next tour, right? And it dawned on me, this was so beautiful. And then here's the beautiful thing about a program like the residency, right? And I'm going to tie it around to about, this is why I feel like I'm being spiritually led, right? As the executive director for like the residency, we teach these young folks about these jobs in hip hop. And these are young Black kids that I have, and predominantly, right, or BIPOC young folks in our program, right? Because hip hop is this is our house, right? This is our community. And we need to be educating our young people about what's going on in our house, right? Because while I'm on this spiritual divine assignment, what was hurting me the most was we have $1 billion industry that people are making, a lot of white people are making money off of, right? And it's breaking my heart to see every night when I'm on tour and I'm getting whisked from city to city, white folks capitalizing off of hip hop, the agents, right? The managers, right? And it's a lack of knowledge, right? We're sitting up here today on the show, and there's proverbs being kicked, right? There's there's this all this intelligence being shed, right? So one of the things I want to say is, for someone like me who's being spiritually led, who's a leader, and now is being sitting in this seat as an educator as well as a businessman, I felt like I'm also being led to the seat now in this position to make sure that our babies get a seat at the table in hip hop so that they're able to take the rightful position and eat at the table in something that was already theirs. Because if they're not at the table, then they're on the menu. So Simon, that's kind of where I'm at. That's what I do. That's where the Spirit leads me. And so every day, I wake up and I ask, where am I going? Higher power, where am I going? And so it leads me different places. But I'm one of those people. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense to you. But yeah.
Yeah, and I do love how you say that you're spiritually led. Many people don't acknowledge that. Many people think that they're living by the power of their own education, by the power of their own hard work. But people don't realize how life is precious, and how unless you are spiritually guided is when you can thrive. I remember one time I had just landed in Kenya. When you land in Kenya after being in the US for a while, one of the first things you do, either the first night or the next day in the morning, is finding a SIM card for your phone so that you can be connected with the local, you can call people, you can let people know, hey, I'm around, you can get things done. So we were sitting at one of the cell phone, network companies in a line. We were queuing. I was waiting for my turn. It was, around noon, and 3 people ahead of me, there was this nicely dressed lady, elder, young looking, but clearly an elder. And we were next to Mombasa Road, we were next to Mombasa Road, which is the road from the airport to downtown Nairobi. And so this elderly lady went ahead. She got whatever she needed to get in the in the shop where people were getting the cell phone services, and then she left. And so because I was very close to her, I went into the shop, and she got out and was trying to cross the road. So when I left the shop and got out, there was a crowd by the road, and when I went to look, it was this lady that had been run over by a car. And this incident, it scared me a lot, because it could have been me. It could have been anybody trying to cross the same road. And this is just one of many, many, many incidents that have reminded me that this life you're living is not yours. You're here for a purpose, and you have to be in touch with your ancestors so that they guide every step that you make, from the moment you wake up until the moment that you go to bed, because you might never wake up. So I want to thank you, my brother Amir, for being here with us. For those who are just joining us, we've been having an incredible conversation guided by this incredible African proverb that says, where two rivers meet, the waters are never calm. And my brother Amir Islam is our special guest today. Amir is the executive director of the residency that is doing incredible work here in Seattle, Washington. If you're just joining us and you missed any part of this conversation, please watch it on YouTube. Just start it from the beginning, and you'll truly be inspired. And if you are the person that loves to listen, you can listen across all podcasting platforms. And my brother Amir, I want you to take some notes. We want to hear from a few people who have been listening to us on Clubhouse. They're going to just share their perspectives with us quickly. Debbie, how are you doing, Debbie? And where are you joining us from? And what is it from this conversation that you want to comment on? And also, what is it that this proverb brings up for you?
100%. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, as always, to Simon and everybody in the room, and to the speaker. Very inspiring. My name is Debbie Berlin, aka Game Dev Debbie. I'm joining from Maryland, very close to Washington, D.C. This proverb inspires me in so much as when rivers come together, it's a form, we can use the analogy of collaboration. And sometimes there's rocks in the path, and we know that a rock gets eroded by water. So imagine we have rocks, challenges, and barriers in our path. Let's come together as rivers and erode them together. And on that note, I would like to confirm what the speaker said. Amen to spirit leading and the calling. And I like to think of it as the more we answer our calling, the louder it gets. And 100% we bring other people into our sphere to answer that calling together. Please hit me up for a DC Connect for your program. I was on your website. It looks amazing. I know a couple of hip hop artists in the area. I also rap and I serve the youth, working on a project to inspire the youth, and have done some studio time and would love to just collaborate and join forces as rivers. And a big fan of Malcolm Moore and his positive lyrics. Thank you very much for this time.
Absolutely. Thank you, sis.
Thank you so much, Debbie. Now let's go to Stephen. Stephen, share with us where you're joining us from, and also what this proverb means to you. And Amir, before we go too far, there's a legendary hip-hop artist from Nairobi, Kenya, who is watching us on YouTube. His name is Nafsi Huru, and he also runs similar programs to the residency, and he's commenting, he's saying, looking forward to having the residency in Nairobi. Nafsi Huru performed at Madaraka Festival in 2019, and he's a brother that the next time you're in Kenya, you have to visit with him. Anyway, yeah, man. Stephen, how are you doing? And what are your perspectives on the proverb? And also, any comments to our brother Amir Islam, who is our guest today?
Hello, Simon. Hello, everyone. I'm Steven, joining from Kisumu, Kenya. And Amir, thank you for being with us in this session. Yes. I personally can't wait to receive you at One Vibe Kenya, Kisumu.
Yes.
I'm actually booking your session. Just give me the date.
Sawa, sawa.
Okay. Today's proverb is a interesting one. I believe whoever scheduled this proverb must have known that I was going to trail one of our rivers. I've been doing a story about a river called River Wigwa, and today I was out trying to trail the source of this river, somewhere called Kajulu Hills. And in my tour around Kajulu Hills, I came across two rivers, River Awach and River Kibos. And then I came across an old lady. And this old lady told me that if you want to know the story of these two rivers, go to where they meet. And she directed me that go back from where you've come from and ask the people down the village where Mariwa is. Mariwa comes from a Luo word called Rewo. Rewo is unite. So Mariwa is where these two rivers meet, and I'm actually happy and would like to confirm that indeed where these two rivers meet, it's rough. The waters are not calm. The waters are rough because each river is coming into this stream with its force, and they want to take the course to the main river down the lake. So I believe where two people come or where two heads come together with the same cause, something good must come out of that cause. And
Steve must have received a phone call. Again, thank you, Steve. I love that. This is also part of why I think this the Daily African Proverbs is an ancestral wisdom space. You know, a lot of the time people show up and they come up with answers to some of the questions that we were asking. You know, nobody knew that you would actually be going to where rivers actually meet. In real life, you know. But that's how I began our conversation. I was asking the first few people that were in the audience that, you know, if any one of you has ever visited a river, and especially where rivers meet, and then you came and you are saying that you did that. So that's really beautiful. Stella, how are you doing? Where are you joining us from? And also, what are your perspectives on this proverb, and any comments on this beautiful conversation with our brother Amir Islam, who is our guest today?
Thank you, Simon. This is Stella from Kenya, and I want to thank Amir for everything he has said. It was just inspiring. On today's proverb, it says, "Where two rivers meet, the waters are never calm." When I heard it the first time, it reminds me of how you can express yourself sometimes in Luo, especially to your enemy when you have an enemy. And usually most people you just find people saying kama warumi kodi piny bodumburu, like you're trying to tell them that you're trying to tell your enemy, like, if we meet, Simon, can you help me with the part that says piny dumburu?
There will be, like, when we meet, it will be dusty. You know, there will be dust blowing and wind blowing as a result of our meeting, as a result of our convergence. There will be an impact, you know.
Yes. Thank you, Simon. Yes, so I think it kind of relates to this proverb, because when two rivers are actually meeting, and like Steve was saying, actually I sent us some video where those two rivers have actually met, and it's the waters are not calm. They are really blowing up with big waves, and it's funny because when you like have an enemy, or when you've clashed with someone, when you meet, it's so heated and you want to fight out and everything is over the roof. But again, sometimes what comes out of it is that you get to relax and you get to express all the anger, and then you get to calm down, and hopefully you solve whatever was making you guys so agile and want to crush each other. So the proverb today is, it's also encouraging that even though things can be so tough, even though things can get so steamy sometimes, things get so heated, they will eventually calm down. And days have to go on, has to go on. So you just find a way of coping in this life so that you continue peacefully. Otherwise, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you again, Stella. We have two more people and then I'll come back to you, my brother Amir. I see you here on Clubhouse as well. Let me, now you guys should follow Amir, now you know who is our guest on YouTube. But Kay, how are you this morning and where are you joining us from? But before you go, for those who are watching on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's one way you can support this important work. And if you are on Clubhouse, make sure you're following the African Father in America Club. That's another way that you can support. And now, Kay, share where you're joining us from, your perspective on this incredible African proverb from Chad, where two rivers meet, the waters are never calm. And also, if you have any comments to our special guest. Thank you so much.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, very, very well. Thank you.
Great. My name's Kay, and I live on historically known as Abenaki land, and it's in Vermont. And I'm looking out my window at a conjunction of two rivers currently, and where rivers meet, the waters are never calm. They flow, and rivers flow around obstacles with seemingly gentle flexibility. They always flow high to low. They're also capable of great destruction in moving great amounts of rock, soil, and infrastructure. Yet when two rivers meet, there's a brewing chaotic meeting of these two directions. It is in these places that a union of both flows are created. At the junction, chaos and confusion will always be evident, but further down the new river, there will be calm and unification. The proverb is encouraging embracing the confusion and chaos, as the calm will be met soon, as long as we can move out of the rough waters. This is also a warning not to get stuck in the whirlpools and circles that form in these chaotic junctions, because extra effort is needed to move out of the whirlpools. And I think it's a really beautiful proverb. And thanks again for this room. I love it. I love you guys. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Kay, for your contribution. I just appreciate you a lot as well. Kape, how are you doing today? And what are your perspectives on this incredible conversation that we're having? And also the proverb from Chad that is the center of our conversation today. The mic is yours.
Could you kindly go to the next and then come back to me, please?
Yes, no problem. We will come back to you in a moment. I just want to thank you all again for joining us for the Daily African Proverbs. This is being recorded for the African Father in America podcast. And I want to come back to our special guest today, my brother Amir Islam. I just appreciate you for taking the time, my brother, and this is how we can document our stories. This is how we can change the narrative, because once we produce this, then our children, their friends, our community can also learn different aspects of our lives that they didn't know. They can also learn this proverb from a different perspective than what they see on the internet or what they interact with in their lives. So I want you to, share with us anything that you heard our audience members speak about that, that moved you. And also, I want you to share with us how we can support you personally, and also how we can stay connected to the work that you do. The floor is yours now, my brother. Take the time.
Yeah, I would just say that everything I heard in general was really inspiring. I applaud you for the work that you're doing, and just what you said in particular around documenting this, and about our children. That really landed really well. One of the things I know, on my recent trip to Africa, back to Nairobi. Actually, not even back to. This was the first time I ever went to Africa. And growing up in Seattle, I remember there was always this whole narrative that you would hear about Africa, and as an African American, there was always questions around, what was it like in Africa, and I had a lot of African friends that came here from Africa, but we never knew what it was like, and so as an African, from the diaspora, but also just never one who went there, you don't know what it's like until you actually get there. So like I said before, I really applaud you for being someone who's documenting our conversations, and doing that work. I think it's really important, but also too, I want to say that it's really important for us to do the work, as well, by talking with each other, by keeping up, the dialogues, or by visiting and making those connections. Because, when I went to Africa, I was deeply impressed with the amount of, I would say, technology that was there, the modernization that was there, the intelligence that was there. That Africa is home. When we went to Africa, I was like, man, why am I even in America? You know what I'm saying? Like, America is definitely not the spot. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're trying to figure out, how can we live in Nairobi? How do we continue to make more connections in Accra? So this is the work that needs to be done. And that's why when you hit me up, I was like, it's a no-brainer for me to be here. So I appreciate you, my brother. I love you. I appreciate everybody that's been in the chat. I want to continue to make more bridges, and I think this is one of them. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, my brother. We are coming to the end of our conversation today, and I just want to be respectful to you, Kapi. This is a good time for you to just share briefly, and then we will wrap up our time together today. If you're there, I'll let you share.
Thank you. My name is Kapi. I always come to the African Father in America at the Proverb rooms, and as always, I'm always happy to be part of this. It's not always I come up the stage, but I just realized with Clubhouse algorithms, if you got the stage, then more of my friends can see the room, give us more exposure out there. So back to the topic of the room. As I understand, where two rivers meet, the waters are never calm. People have different personalities. People have different cultures. People have different views in life. People people are not the same. So when two different characters are brought together, there must be calm. It must be, they cannot be calm, there must be a storm. But one thing we always know is after a storm, there is a calm. So when they meet, because as the proverb says, it emphasizes on when they meet, where they meet. Where they meet is where the problem is. But later on, these rivers flow together. They become calm later. So once the turbulence from this other river and the turbulence from this other river connect, it flows. So as I understand this proverb, when you're going out into new things, you're meeting new people, you will always be prepared, be pessimistic, be prepared for the worst, that you know that of course they will never be calm. Then think that after this storm, maybe they will be calm. So once you're solely prepared for the fact that there might be a storm, then you'll be well equipped and well prepared for it. That is all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Kapi. I appreciate you. I followed you, and I'm hoping. I've seen you quite a few times joining us, so I appreciate the support. And we've come to the tail end of our conversation today. My brother Amir, I truly appreciate you, and I'll definitely be hitting you up, about other things. But just know that you are in my heart, and this conversation meant a lot to me. For those who are, joining us for the first time, remember to subscribe to the channel. For those who are, also joining us for the first time on Clubhouse, remember to join the African Father in America Club. Thank you all so much, and have a beautiful, beautiful day. My brother Amir, your final remarks before we wrap up?
I would just say thank you so much, Simon, for inviting me. Much love to everybody who joined today. And this has been a beautiful experience. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you so much. Peace and love.
All right. Peace.
African Father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. African Father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.